Hello everyone, welcome to this patch 2.20 review, the final deployment of the full rebalancing patch that's supposed to redo the entire game for us. Really have to ask one of these vehicles needs servicing. Turns out that it didn't remember my ammunition loads. But anyway, this patch has some good things to it. Has some bad things to it. I kind of am just going to discuss it in general first, starting with the garage. Then we're going to play some PvE to highlight one of the things I think is a very mixed bag. And then we're going to move on. So, there's not a lot of number reworking this time around. Almost every vehicle did not receive immediate changes, so to speak. I'm going to look up and double check that, but I'm pretty sure that most of the changes are, mechanically speaking, the garage and bug fixes. I mean, the patch, I should have put this, it's a long freaking list. A very, very long freaking list. But it's worth going over. So, basically, the biggest changes are to the rate of fire of guns. For the BMD 3 and 4 get an increase in rate of fire. The switch delay has been modified. Most vehicles can now fire their missiles on the move. Note I said most. Quite a few number of them still cannot fire their missiles on the move. And that is it's only like the Fox and a couple of the early tier ones. Now other changes. Missiles are now harder to guide and control. You made them already too hard to control. But you did make it where that only applies on the move, so I kind of see that. Light tanks still drastically outspot AFVs and tank destroyers, so light tanks are still now your scouts and your firepower and your flankers and everything but your frontline holders. Yeah. I can't honestly agree with that one. The ready rack for tank destroyers. This is an incredibly mixed bag. I'm just going to say it. It's a stupidly obscene mixed bag. And we're going to take a tank destroyer out in PvE, and I'm going to show you why this is a stupidly mixed bag. It means tank destroyers, yes, can fire faster and have much higher DPM. But that doesn't fix the problem of their penetration and accuracy having been the difficulty with them dealing with main battle tanks, which is what they're supposed to be the counter to. But the specific tank destroyer we're going to take out today for you guys, to illustrate just how silly the ready rack is the RCR. A lot of you are going to question this decision. Allow me to explain. The RCR, at present, has an obscenity to it. And that is that it can fire so fast the gun doesn't even recoil before it's done. Now, I do have this issue of them refunding all of my shit still. And it refunded, the refund this time apparently included vehicles I'd already refit, because the Bradley'd already been refit. It seems like it was entirely random which vehicles got refunded and which ones didn't, as you can see from my VFM over here not having been refunded. But I know that I set up my RCR and it's been I mean, the credits are there. I'm not going to argue with that. The credits are there. So I can't be terribly upset. It's just not something I expected to have happen. And it happened. So, yeah, we're actually going to give it the gun breach for increasing its rate of fire. You know, because that's something it totally needs. We're going to give it the telescopic sight for increased vision while it's sitting still. And we're going to give it the muzzle brake system to increase its accuracy. So that's what we're going to be taking out later, but that's at a later time. As I was discussing with the Ready Rack, they still can't effectively deal with main battle tanks. They just can't. From the front, it's impossible. They have to flank them. Many of the tank destroyers are now slowed down enough, that is their top speed, and their acceleration rates are not fast enough to allow them to do this. However, what this means is all the light vehicles, you know, the stuff that has no armor that they can regularly penetrate, like, hello, Centauro 120, how are you today? How you doing? What you been up to? Are you ready, kids? Because this thing's DPM is going to be so high it's going to make you vomit. And as you can see, I spent all of my money on one tank, by the way, doing those upgrades. So we're only going to get to spend for the middle road upgrades. Just for the middle road. You know, the cheaper ones. But we are going to, you know, illustrate this with the two tanks that probably didn't need this. And that is you. And you. As soon as we get to that part. But it basically means that tank destroyers can destroy any light vehicle now in seconds, but still can't deal with main battle tanks. Ready Rack was not the solution. I suggest we remove the Ready Rack in favor of something else, please. Or actually sit down and look at the numbers and figure out what the tank destroyers need for penetration and damage to be effective. A rebalance of the M1 series tanks to be more vulnerable to shells from the front and sides was absolutely 100% needed. The Leopard tanks are still completely the most inferior vehicles to put out, even against the Challenger 2 versus the Leopard 2AX. The Challenger 2 is superior in virtually every way. There is no reason to use the Leopard tanks at present because they have inferior penetration, inferior alpha damage, longer reload times, and inferior armor configurations. That's not how Leopard 2s work in real life. That's not how they should be designed to work in game. I suggest you find a way to give the Leopard 2 some sort of distinctive advantage that makes sense. I do agree with the buffs to the T90 series of tanks. They were actually not performing very well at all, especially in comparison to the Abrams. So those buffs were needed. Reducing the hit points of the AFVs in the tank destroyer AFVs, I don't exactly agree with. They already had way too few hit points to start with, and the main gun Sabo shell damage basically has reduced the VBL and the Weasel to 2 shots. That's all you need. You need to hit it twice with main guns or missiles and it dies. It seems really fair when they on average have to hit a main battle tank 4 times. Have to hit another AFV 3 times. Have to hit themselves 3 times. On average. To kill themselves. Something's not working there. I'm just saying. But into the ridiculousness that is the tank destroyers, after we go over the one thing about this entire patch that is not a mixed bag, it is just horrendous. And you're looking at it. The garage. I don't know how else to describe this. This thing is awful. I mean, that's how I would describe it. The garage is just straight up awful. It's bad. It's terrible. It is just plain horrendous. It is very similar to the World of Tanks garage, but your choice of coloration is the hugest problem here. Because anyone who has any level of color blindness, red, yellow, or green, is going to have extreme trouble with this garage. Everything is gray. There's so much gray. It's hard to look at with my eyes, and I have 20/20 vision, full color vision, whole 9 yards with my glasses on, and this is just awful to look at. It's also very poorly coordinated. Very poorly explained. And it just doesn't sit right with me to be here in this garage at all. I'm trying to figure out a way to be nice about it, but I can't. The garage is bad. It's hard to tell what vehicle I actually have selected, except for the stripes. That's all. And if I'm colorblind, I can't tell that. I just have to look up and know that I can recognize the vehicle on the screen. But oh look, if I switch vehicles, there's a Centauro 120 right here, and there's one right here. One here, one here. I might have the right vehicle, I might have the wrong one. By the way, remove the ammo from many of my vehicles, as well as the kits from many of them, and did not give me the kits back. Like, I didn't get those back. It's not okay. But this is awful to look at. These pips give me no information whatsoever other than I have selected the skill. This should have the symbol for the skill on them. That should be there. This should be a different coloration than the background I'm looking at. This should be a different coloration all across. Gray, like grayscale, is not a good look for a game like this. It simply is not what we're looking for. Period. I don't know how else to describe this other than please no. Please no. Please no. Ammunition type. If I'm colorblind at all, like at all, I don't know what those ammunition types are. And all I have to do to switch where they are is drag. And by the way, doing that simple change makes it where I can't drop. So it stops me from dropping for a few seconds. It has to reload the whole fucking garage every time. I check to make sure it's actually reloading the entire garage every time that I move one of these. So if I want to move to a different button, got to reload the whole garage. If you have a slow machine, you're in trouble. Next, none of these symbols are clear. Like, there's a bunch of symbols lying around here, and it's not clear what any of them are for. This is for setting insignias. These up here, these little pips, are your loot boxes. Yeah, that's what those little pips represent, guys. This shows event bonuses, but only if you scroll over it. There's no actual indication here. This should, I mean, and to get to replays. To get to replays now, we go through the dossier, and it's this little freaking button. It's this little out-of-the-way button to get to replays now. There's nowhere else in this garage you can access that. Here is my suggestion for this garage. First off, color this something nice. Blue would probably be best, if you had to ask me. A dark, a blue that these colors will show up on would be preferred. And it will contrast the red to make the red more obvious. I would seriously put 2 buttons here again. Action is not the word you want to use. Just flat, no. Battle is the traditional word, or combat, or match. Action is not the word we want to use. And I would seriously, again, separate this into 2 buttons again, or 3 even, so we have the custom match here, or 4. Hell, we could do 4. You could make this 4 buttons, and you could actually take up this blank space, which would be nice because it would actually give us a distinct thing. So you have like red over here for PvP, yellow for global ops, a green or a black for custom match, and a blue or green or whatever color you didn't use for custom matches for PvE. And then have a button here for tutorial. And you know, when I first log into a new machine, it should pop up the tutorial, even if I've already done it. It just should pop up, just in case it's somebody new. This down here, I don't know what to tell you what to do with it, but it actually is fuzzy on my eyes. I don't know if it's fuzzy to you guys watching this, but this up here, this whole section is just fuzzy. It's hard to look at. it's hard to stare at for a prolonged period of time. It actually, if I sit in the garage for too long, I'll keep glancing up here and eventually I'll get a headache. This color scheme back here with the kind of bright fuzz type of fade around it, not okay. You guys need to sit down with some people who are not colorblind and some people who are colorblind and redesign this whole garage color scheme. You need to redesign this entire garage. I can't drag this around anymore. I have to hit these buttons. A lot of people didn't realize that. You don't know what this is for until you click on it. Like, there should be something down here that says filter, or should indicate better. I don't know what that symbol is, but not working. These mean absolutely, these bars mean dip and shit, as far as I can tell. That's the nice way of putting it. These bars are meaningless because it doesn't classify it by the tier. Because if I flip over to here, the bars change on the same vehicle. And if I flip over to here, how do these bars actually affect? I can't honestly tell you. I can't honestly tell what these bars mean. So I have to open this up. And since it all no longer fits into the column with it fully opened, I have to scroll up and down. This box needs to be able to contain all the information on the vehicle clearly displayed. And I clearly need to be able to hit details here and details here. And by the way, I can't move this above. Like, it won't go. No matter how hard I try, the moment I move them, there's a limit to how high they can go. Which makes comparing vehicles very difficult. I don't know why that limit's there. I don't know what's going on with it. But it doesn't matter what vehicle it's for. As soon as I move it, I suddenly can't move it more than 2/3 of the way up the screen. So there is clearly something broken with the garage. It looks atrocious. It's not functioning correctly. Every time I move something to a different key, it does a full garage reload. And the location of the replays is in a hard-to-find, ridiculous spot that literally you would miss this button if you didn't know it was here. I had to hunt for that button. I had to hunt hard. So, now let's go see exactly what I mean by the ridiculousness of the tank destroyers. So we're going to drop a hard mission and a Centauro 120. See, you all thought the Centauro 120 had been nerfed and it was gone and we didn't have this obscenity anymore. Nah, it's back with a vengeance. Be prepared for the ridiculousness. Overpenetration, by the way, is a mechanic we've been begging to come back forever. Still hasn't been reintroduced. To me, honestly, there is very little sense in loading the heat shells or the high explosive shells because the rate of fail to fuse due to high angle hits is stupidly high. Actually, if you want to know something, looking at the Centauro head dead on, if you hit this upper plate with anything, it'll ricochet. Even 152 millimeter Sabo shells bounce off of this. If you're looking at it on level ground, dead on, and you shoot it in the upper plate. So aiming center mass with this thing, you have a very high chance to ricochet. Before, we didn't have that. The chance was minimal to ricochet, and a heat shell would not ricochet. But here we go. We're going to test out the ready racks for you guys to see just how the ready racks work. And you tell me if this is fair. Because I honestly... The RCR, by the way, has such a high rate of fire. The gun fires, and then you can fire again before the recoil animation is finished. It's just pop-pop. It's the same rate of fire you would expect out of someone doing a single action Colt with the purpose of emptying the entire cylinder. And as you can see, the ready rack has a 2.38 second reload with a 30-second full load time. So what we're going to see is for the first 30 seconds, I'm going to be unable to fire. Fair enough. But as soon as that 30 seconds is up, every 2.38 seconds, I'm going to be using the C key to reload a single round most of the time. But basically, I can pump out 6 shots. This has turned the tank destroyers of this game into the feared auto-loaders. Oh my god, can you learn to drive, please? Of the previous World of Tanks stuff, where you had the French line that could basically fire infinitely. Thanks for getting me shot. I can't even see him, and I'm being shot right now. I'm not even spotted, and I've been shot twice by that Thunderbolt. Come on. Oh, really? You know, it'd be nice if I had line of sight on anything. One. Two. Ow. I think I just got rammed. Oh, this is ridiculous. I love our main battle tank force here, who's so willing to move in and engage. So love them right now. I'm just saying, they're the love of my life. So long as they're not willing to move in and engage, I pretty much can't. Because the moment I expose, I get shot. And see, that's the problem I'm illustrating now, is you can't consistently penetrate, but you can keep firing over and over again. I don't have a penetrating shot here. No one's shooting this guy. Dead. But by God, if you get a penetrating shot anywhere, you can pump out rounds so quickly they can't move out of the way before you've killed them. But as shown, that's the problem, is getting anything that can pin. Like, at all. They did not fix that turret. But by God, by sheer number of shots, I can kill it. And you can basically empty your entire ammunition load very quickly. And of course, you know, our MBT force here is being as timid as possible.
Imagine a Waffenträger E100, but it lacks penetration power to pen anything from the front that's an MBT, but can do 3,000 damage in the span of about 10 seconds or less.
And as I described earlier, the light tanks are outspotting everything still.
Yeah. In short, what Fiaura is trying to tell you is that the ready racks haven't solved diddly squat.
No, they've just made it where you can take on other light vehicles relatively easily and kill them incredibly efficiently.
Thus making the tank destroyers are only accounted to anything with soft armor.
As you can see from my encounter with the Challenger Valken there, that I can't do anything against, and now I'm forced to load heat because I've expended so many shells. I'm out of ammo with sabos. You know, if I fire at the same spot twice and both of them penetrate, why does the third shot not pen? And I end up taking another fucking hit because, again, our main battle tank force is unwilling to move in. I basically can't afford any more hits now. Oh yeah, here's the other problem I have, is the Armada's turret. The Armata is the only tank whose turret doesn't do full damage when you penetrate it. See what I mean? 50 fucking 2 from a main battle tank gun. I get higher than 70 degrees as a failed defuse, but that was... It still explodes. Like, heat shells still explode when they hit at higher than 70 degree angles, and therefore still would penetrate a commander's hatch just by melt through. That seems like a rule that should not be hard and fast. I'm just putting my 2 cents in there against the about failed defuse. It seems like something that should not be as hard of a rule as it is. By God, when you can find a spot you can penetrate, you can kill something. But finding that spot is impossible. And so, this is the nightmare of the Centauro 120. It can kill other lightly armored vehicles with sabot shells all day long. Engaging anything with armor, and it fires heat, as you just saw a 6-round heat clip trying to kill the same target, only managing to penetrate 1 of the 6 times. Although, you know, I'll say 5 out. I'll say 1 out of 5 because 5 of them hit. 1 of them hit another tank and damaged it at least. But yeah, this is the nightmare that any tank destroyer driver is having to deal with. You can't hurt anything unless you're beside or behind it, even with frickin' sabot shells. But by God, get into a position to hurt something and you hurt it. You tear it apart. And then you get to sit there for 30 seconds with your thumb up your ass because you can't shoot. This is not how a tank destroyer is supposed to work. I'm just saying. And this is where I should be engaging from, is this extreme freaking range. What the Ready Recs have done is made running out of ammo an actual problem. Because I'm down to 2 sabots and 2 HE rounds. If not, and has made it where you simply don't get to carry anymore. The tank lacks firepower on the raw damage scale and on the amount of damage it can do over time. Not burst damage. Burst damage wise, this is insane. I can basically kill any vehicle that in existence with the burst from this thing. But what this has done is it's turned them into the French tanks of World of Tanks. And now I'm down to HE rounds. That take 30 seconds to load 2 rounds, by the way. That's something that makes no sense, because any other time I would hit reload, it would be broken down into 5-second increments if I was hitting reload with a single shell. Which, by the way, is still significantly faster than anything else in existence can shoot. I'm actually going to move off here in order to try to get this kill. That is the Ready Rec for you. Did it solve anything? No. No, it did not. Did not solve anything. It just makes it where tank destroyers now actually are in danger of running out of ammo. And has turned them into the French tank line from World of Tanks. Fast, no armor, stupidly high burst damage. If you get beside a main battle tank and track it, you will basically kill it. And you're the only vehicle in the game that can do that. without any support. That type of mechanic is just, if you're going to give it to somebody, I would not have given it to tank destroyers. But that's what we have now. I do approve of the credit rate increase. Like, this is manageable now. This is where our economy should be. This is a tier 9 game. I made 115,000 credits, 199 before expenditure of spare parts and the field rebuild kit. I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that. Like, this, credit wise, that is good. So it's a mixed patch. It's not great and awesome, but it's not bad either. The garage and the ready racks are the terrible parts. Just flat out, the garage and ready racks are awful. I gave my suggestions for both. Just get rid of the ready racks and increase the tank destroyer's penetration, and give it better accuracy, so it can use said penetration. Because that's how they kind of functioned. Decrease light tanks' field of view and increase AFVs back to having a good field of view, because right now, I hate to say it, light tanks are still the king. Main battle tanks are now queen now. That's good, but light tanks are the king, because well, we've tested this repeatedly. Basically, this little VFL Mark V here, with those view ranges and this extra equipment and that camouflage rating, can outspot everything. Oh my god. AFVs have no chance of getting in to spot it, as you can see from the going up to the Bradley 2 tiers higher and it having a red symbol over its camouflage and its view range. And even if I gave it the extra equipment, it still would not compare. It would only be equal to the VFM in view range and would not have the same camouflage rating. And if we went all the way up to, well, let's go all the way up to the Sphinx. The Sphinx has it. That's good news. The Crab, on the other hand, barely. So 3 tiers higher before the AFVs outdo the light tanks in spotting and view range and camouflage. But then we go right over here to the Thunderbolt, and the Thunderbolt has comparable to the Crab, and actually has better spotting capabilities than the Terminator, and it's classified in AFV. Oh no, it's stand corrected. It's now been moved to the rank of tank destroyer. Huh. Interesting. That's new. But yeah, this, we really need to adjust. We really need to readjust the sight lines for light tanks and AFVs, because unmodified, my my Thunderbolt here is basically just about as good as my Crab in terms of spotting, with the same commander in place. It's got the same view range, slightly worse off camouflage, but the Crab doesn't maintain its camouflage when moving, and the Thunderbolt does. Plus, the Thunderbolt has armor, and its main gun is capable of penetrating the front of tier 9 main battle tanks. So there you guys have it. There is the illustration for you of how the ready racks work. I don't exactly think they're working out very well. Actually fixing the original problem, which was the lack of penetration and the lack of view range on the TD's part, as well as the lack of accuracy, would have been better. The ready racks just now make them able to annihilate light vehicles, while at the same time unable to do anything against any vehicle with decent armor angling or just decent armor, without getting very precise shots over and over again. As you saw, even against the RCR, I was repeatedly bouncing against light tanks and other TDs. They're basically AFV killers. Really and truly, they are AFV killers. And if they get a track on a tank, it dies. It just dies. And there's nothing that guy can do. He will die before he reloads. 2.38 seconds between each shot. He will die before he reloads. If he gets tracked and that light tank and that TD has a shot anywhere, he dies. They're the only vehicle with that kind of time to kill. you should not have turned them into the autoloaders of World of Tanks. So many people have so many issues with World of Tanks autoloaders. You should have done that. I'm just telling you now. Should have done that. So those are my points for this patch. I agree with some of it. I don't agree with some of it. It's a very mixed bag. But at least for the mixed bag, it is a step in the right direction to some degree. I do like the campaigns. Those are nice. It's nice that we finally started those. It would be nice if there was a story to go along with it. And it's not exactly the campaign we were looking for. We were more looking for a series of missions strung together with a story that pieces them together. This is the start. Fair enough. Good start. Good way to begin it. The story online, decent thing to read on the website, and now it needs to be placed in game. That's what it needs to be in game. But let's hope that the storyline campaigns can keep people interested and keep bringing our population back up. And you guys need to deliver them every month. So there's my opinion on things. There's my way in which it needs to be fixed and needs to be addressed. And you kind of have to agree the garage is horrible because they had to make a fucking guide. When you have to make a guide for your user interface, you may want to rethink your user interface. And I'm a veteran of EVE Online, and I'm telling you to rethink your user interface. But you had to make a guide for it, and the guide doesn't even include everything. Like where replays are. So there you go. In the meantime, I hope all of you enjoyed. Hope to see you guys later today for Armored Warfare, and I will talk to all of you very soon. Bye for now.